We've all been sitting at home safely watching some shows and movies, and Jess and I decided to really take a deep dive in on what we've been watching lately on episode 96 of the podcast. Cue the music. Welcome, everyone, to the Entertainment Buffet podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Prosek.
And I'm another one of your hosts, Jessica Quaz.
And Jess, we're watching a lot of stuff, and it's so hard to just keep up with what are you watching, what am I watching, and I want to hear all about what you've been getting into, because that's sometimes how you and I give each other recommendations. So we decided to make an entire episode about this. This is usually just a segment of our podcast, but since Jess was away for a little while, we really got to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. We felt like we haven't talked about what we've been watching for so long that it would be fun to just kind of do a deep dive and see, because like you said in the cold open, a lot of us are still staying home when we can. And I know for me, like I have my TV on a lot just to at least have some noise or something. So yeah, I have a long list of things I've been watching, some good, some bad, and we're going to get into all that.
For sure. So, this is usually the beginning of the episode where we would be doing this segment, but this is the entire episode. So, one thing before we get started, Jess, for those who maybe didn't hear last episode, do you want to talk about the other show you got going on?
Yeah, thank you. So I am launching another podcast with my co-host and co-producer Joe Harper. It launches March 7th. You can follow us right now on Instagram and Twitter to get updates. So it's called Second Chance Movies. And basically the entire show is taking movies that were divisive, beloved, hated, and giving them a second chance, which is something I rarely do with movies anyway, and seeing were we right the first time around? Did we have our feelings changed? How has it hold up over time? And we're watching everything. Like no movie's really off the table. So our first episode is Passengers, which we talked about in our anti-Valentine's Day episode. And then we've been doing like BVS because Snyder Cut's coming out, and then we were getting into some award movies as well because Oscar season's here. So yeah, check it out, Second Chance Movies. Again, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram for updates, and by March 7th you can find it Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to this right now. So yeah, it's very exciting. And at some point, I definitely want Brandon to come on and be a guest and give a second chance to a movie. That's the plan.
For sure. So I'm excited about the show for two reasons. I'm not just plugging for plug's sakes. One, I personally am excited because I love the concept of the show.
Thank
There's
you.
often times where I have to give something a second chance, and I start to see much more that I didn't see the first time, whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also excited because, Jess, we've known each other for almost 10 years now. And I feel like it's something that like we have a lot of, entertainment discussions and movie, TV show, whatnot, back and forth. We don't always agree on everything. But there's sometimes where I'll be like, oh, have you ever watched that again? Like, I feel like you should give it another chance. And you're just like, no, I'm good. And I'm just like, I'm like, what do you, but come on, and
Yeah.
I get, it's not everyone wants to give things a second chance because there's just so much content in the world that like,
Yeah.
I often feel like sometimes like if I give up on a show, people are like, no, you got to keep watching. I'm like, but there's also so many other shows I haven't started yet.
Yeah,
Like I gave Lost
totally.
4 episodes and I'm like, I'm good. It's just, I'm sorry. I still haven't seen The
Oh,
Wire. Like I'll
I say you're good on Lost. Don't go any further because I did, and it doesn't get better.
There's
Come
no
at me.
loss missing out on Lost.
No. But yeah, I thank you. I'm excited too because yeah, I'm very much a one and done kind of gal with movies unless I like love the movie, like Star Wars or horror movies
How
or
many times did you see Force Awakens in theaters?
9 times. And I would like
And
at the
some movies
time,
don't even deserve a second viewing.
right, right.
I'm going to be submitting suggestions to this show.
Yeah, oh my God, you should. Like Us, which Brandon and I were recently texting about Us because it's so great. I saw that 3 times in one weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. And like Get Out, I think I saw multiple times in one week too. Like and like so there's a few movies that are just like I love this. And but past that, if I'm not obsessed with it, like I'm not watching it again. So yeah, I am now. And we'll see what happens.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you for plugging and I'm really excited about it and I would love for you guys to give it a listen.
Definitely. Please do support Jess. If you enjoy listening to on here, I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to her over there. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's catch up, Jess. First, we're going to talk about TV comedies that we've been watching. So, one that I watched that I kind of like stumbled into. So I recently last like handful of months got Disney Plus when I updated my phone plan with my family. So I was kind of like digging through like what's on Disney, making my watch list, and there is one season, because it only lasted one season, of Muppets. It was an ABC series from like 2015.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and they tried to do the mockumentary style, like The
That's
Office,
right.
like Modern Family, but I think at the time people were starting to get worn out with that trope,
Mm,
and they were trying to comment on it and like bring the Muppets to like a newer, updated thing. Also, I don't want to say more adult as in like raunchy or anything, but there's just like little jokes in there for the adults when you're watching it. It's not just a kid's show. I think this show's really underrated. There's 16 episodes because it got canceled after the first season. I thought it was so much fun. And I think if you're sitting at home looking for something that is very low stakes, just throw on to have some fun. There's 16 like 20 some minute episodes where the gimmick of this show is Kermit is the showrunner for a late night show, and Miss Piggy is a late night talk show host. It's Up Late with Miss Piggy, which is so funny that it's like the Muppets have a female talk show host, but then like how many female talk show hosts do networks actually give?
right.
You know,
Right. Uh,
and it's just a lot of fun. I love the characters that they have. I love that they do. It's like the show behind the scenes kind of, them running the show, and it's just a lot of fun. They have great guest stars, and like I said, it was something I think I kind of needed when like the times now, there's a lot of depression, anxiety,
mhm.
stuck alone. I work from home, so like I'm just sitting by screens a lot, and I wanted to throw on something that would make me laugh, that also I wasn't too investing too much in, because if I watched an episode or two in a row, it's like, oh, that was only 40 minutes of my day. I'm not
Right.
like sitting for too long before I should like move around. So it's just called The Muppets. It's on Disney Plus. I highly recommend. That was one I just kind of stumbled across and had a lot of fun with.
You're not the first person I've heard that said it was really good. I know, like you said, it was canceled after one season, so not a ton of people watched it, but people around our age who I know who watched it really enjoyed it as well. So I'm interested in that. I mean, who doesn't love the Muppets? it's Muppets.
For sure. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Whether you're a Muppet fan or not, I just think it's interesting, low stakes. It's not a lot of commitment. It's not like some people are like, oh, you ever watch this show? It's like 8 seasons. I can't, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very low stakes. But yeah, Jess, what's a comedy show that you have been watching?
So I binged, like hard binged the show Search Party.
Okay.
Um,
Binged all
I
caps.
binged in a way I haven't done it in a very long time. So yeah, one of my friends just like texted me and was like, "You should watch Search Party. You would love it. It's like your kind of thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember hearing about it, and it seemed quirky and cool. Like, yeah, why not?" So if you have HBO Max, it's on there. I highly suggest like anyone to watch the show. It is so special and unique. It's a comedy, like a dark comedy, that's also a mystery show. I really haven't seen a show like it before. So if you like mystery, definitely watch this. And yeah, the characters are these like four vapid Brooklyn like hipsters. They're ridiculous. They're just so ridiculous that they make it so funny. Um, and there's 4 seasons right now, all on HBO Max. And each season just like builds on top of each other with a new type of mystery that's really interesting to watch. And it goes places that a comedy like never would. But is always funny and smart. It's just so different. It's so unique. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, part of the reason why I binged it was the mystery aspect of it all. Like I needed answers. I needed to know what was going on here. But I like literally also found myself just like laughing out loud, which is, sometimes I watch things that are funny, but I'm like, yeah, that was funny. Like this show, I was like dying. It's hilarious. So yeah, if you have HBO Max, I highly suggest it. John Early is hilarious. He's like the the scene stealer of the show, and he doesn't get enough credit for how funny he is in general. So Search Party, highly suggest it, especially if you love comedies and mysteries. It's just something so special. It's so different, which is why I
Nice.
really like it.
I've I'm part of one of these this Facebook group that it's kind of a lot of Chicago comedians and various like entertainment related people. It's just called Unbridled Enthusiasm, and I feel like more than once someone has gone on there to talk about Search Party, and just I've seen statuses where people are like, what are you doing if you're not watching this show? So I'm curious because like I may have to check it out. What kind of, is it like 2 seasons, 3 seasons? What's the commitment look like?
So it's 4 seasons,
Oh wow.
but every season only has like 10 episode, and it's like
Cool.
25-minute episodes.
Oh,
So
so doable.
exactly. That's why I binged it hard. Like within 1 week, I powered through it because I would just was like, I cannot stop. Like I could not stop. I would stay up late because I needed more. And so it's so good. I feel like for a long time it was one of those shows like similarly to what you were saying, where it's like, I heard about it, I heard it's funny, I heard it's cool, whatever. And like I'm so glad I finally checked it out because I think it's amazing. And like I said, so special, just so different from anything I've ever watched on TV before. So I yeah, highly recommend Search Party. It's it. It's
Awesome.
sis.
Awesome. Well, some other shows that I've been dabbling in, one that I don't think it needs much praise, not because it doesn't deserve it, but because I think everyone just knows. Bob's Burgers. It's a show that I feel like over the years here and there I'd seen like random episodes, maybe around a season long, 20 so, just random ones. And I was like, you know what? I have Hulu now. I'm gonna throw it on and like watch it in order. I'm like already on season 3. So if if you're a fan of Bob's Burgers, you get it. If you've seen it, you totally understand. It's absolutely hilarious. Voice cast is great. If you haven't jumped in, don't be intimidated by how many seasons there are, because like they just fly by. And it's been a great thing to like throw on during like my lunch breaks, because like I said, I work from home, but I do like try to step away from my computer. You can see most of my apartment, but I'm like in my office right now, and I like step over to my living room, and I'm like, I'm gonna, eat lunch, watch something. I throw on a Bob's Burgers. It's great. But yeah, so that's one. Another one I'm not going to go too deep into, because the season finale is still coming up soon. I have been watching and keeping up with WandaVision.
Okay. I
Have
have
you?
not.
You have not. Okay. So I waited until I think there was about 4 or 5 out. And then I was so worried about getting spoiled, because like theories are going crazy. Everyone's watching it. I binged, I caught up, and now I've been watching it week to week. All I'll say, without getting too much into it, I think it's a lot of fun. I think I enjoy it because it's unique. It doesn't feel like a typical Marvel thing, but also feels Marvel, akin. So it's like they're trying to do different things, and I appreciate just watch it for the performances. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany and all the supporting cast. Catherine Hahn, holy shit.
She's just great in
She's
like
just great.
everything. She's always wonderful.
And every episode they kind of homage a different like decade of like sitcoms, and so it's very interesting to go from like the 50s all the way to eventually like mockumentaries, like what we were just saying with Muppets. So yeah, WandaVision, I recommend it. You don't need to be a Marvel fan, because it's kind of a mystery. You don't know what's happening, just like with the characters. So I recommend it. One that I'll just say that I decided to rewatch first time, because this is another one that it only lasted 1 season. It's this show called The Grinder.
Oh, I was an extra in that.
Yeah.
Did you see me?
You know what? I don't know if I did, but I have it on DVD. You have to tell me which episode you were in again, and I'll have to go back and watch. I remember, because I do remember seeing you. I gave that one show Grandfathered some episodes, and I saw you were in that.
Yeah, I was. I know, like, I can't remember what the episode was, but I know I was like right behind Rob Lowe. Like I'm there, and like they were standing outside, because it's like a courtroom comedy kind of thing, and we were like outside the courtroom, and like, yeah, I know for sure you could probably clock me somewhere.
Nice. Jess's illustrious career as an extra.
Yeah. I got stories, man.
Yeah. So Grindr, this was a show that I loved so much when it came out. I watched the entire season when it first came out, and like I want to say around the same time as Muppets, like 2015, 2016 range. And it's one that I always thought was very underrated, and got canceled way too soon, mainly because Rob Lowe and Fred Savage and the entire cast of the family, really. I'm sorry, I don't know all the actors, like the dad, Fred Savage's wife, who plays the girlfriend in Always Sunny. Or not the girlfriend, the one that Charlie's obsessed with. I don't know if you're an Always Sunny fan.
Waitress, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know her real name.
Yeah. She's
That's
great.
His wife in real life too.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, the waitress and Charlie Day are married in real life. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I did not know that.
Really? Yeah.
So Grindr, I don't think it's on Hulu, or I'm not sure if it's on any streaming service, but I decided to buy it on DVD. I went old school, because I was like, these shows that only last a season, I feel like if you don't buy them, they could just disappear like into the ether, the abyss of like canceled shows. So I bought it, and within like a week or two, I watched the whole thing, because it's about 20 episodes. So much fun. I think it's I don't want to say it's just like a Parks and Rec or like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I feel like it's got that level of it just knows what it is. The whole cast is great. It just makes me laugh. Because the whole gimmick is Rob Lowe's character played a lawyer in a show called The Grinder, in which the cheesy tagline was like, there's nobody he can't get off, because like it's just like a terrible sex show that they like would do courtroom scenes, and then like he'd take off his shirt and like bang a girl. And but like the thing that's so funny about it is that in the universe, everyone loves this show except for Fred Savage. Fred Savage is the brother of Rob Lowe, and he's just like, this is so unrealistic. Who likes that? They're like, shh, we're watching it, Dad. You know, like, and I just love that literally everyone is into this show, and even like Rob Lowe, who plays the character, is like, you know. It's so ridiculous. It's a courtroom comedy, family comedy that I just had so much fun with. So if you could check out The Grinder somewhere, it's worth your time for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a show I haven't heard of in a very long time. I like, and I don't think I would have had I not like been paid by their production. Like it was really under the radar. I think it was like very shortly after Parks and Rec was canceled, or not canceled, ended, and then Rob Lowe went over to do that. And yeah, I do remember hearing like it's really funny, it's really good, but just didn't catch on. The concept sounds funny.
Yeah, it's just because Fred Savage plays an actual lawyer, but he's just terrible at public speaking. Like he's a good lawyer, but he's just terrible, has no charisma in the courtroom. And Rob Lowe then thinks, because he's like, I played a TV lawyer for 8 seasons, I feel like I may as well have passed the bar. And so he wants to practice actual law. And so like the premise may seem ridiculous and kind of goofy, but like the show knows what it is. It's got tons of great guest stars throughout, like Timothy Olyphant and Maya Rudolph, Kumail Nanjiani. It's so much fun.
Nice.
But anyway, those are the kind of TV comedies we've been watching. Let's move on over to TV dramas. Jess, what dramas have you been getting into?
Okay, so first off, I I got into ish the show that everyone cannot stop fucking talking about. And you might be able to guess what it is already, but it's Bridgerton.
Okay, real quick about this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that Netflix has this feature, like if you're scrolling too much, it'll be like, do you just want to play something random? Like, and it was like, basically it's like a suggestion thing that they just throw something on and you can try it. So like
I didn't know I've never come across that yet.
Sometimes I scroll a little bit too much because I'm just curious what else is on there.
Yeah.
And there's this new thing that'll be like random suggestion.
Do you want to watch Bridgerton?
Well, no, so it just starts playing and I'm like, oh, what is it? And I hit pause. It's like Bridgerton. I'm like, oh, of course you recommend Bridgerton because like it's a Netflix original.
Right.
Like this isn't off my suggestions.
Exactly. Like I feel like we all are getting played by the Netflix algorithm, and the shit that's at the top, like, is it really that good? Or are we just being told it's that great and everyone loves it?
For sure.
But yeah, so I gave it a shot because I like period pieces. I like soap opera kind of like drama at times. But this, like, I didn't get it. I didn't connect with it in the way that everyone else seems to have. I didn't even finish it, and I got like at least halfway through, and it's only one season, so
yeah, I was gonna say it's new.
Right there. It's new.
New. Couldn't finish it.
I couldn't finish it because it was like I don't care about any of these characters. I don't like the premise is like I mean basically it's like this it's I don't know what you even call it, like mating season in England, or like debutante season, or like
Mating season.
I know it's basically it's what it seems like. It's really strange, but like basically it's like there's a certain time of the year in this world, in this Bridgerton universe, where like you gotta partner up and you gotta get married, and if you don't, then you're like a spinster. You can try again next year, but you're like judged. It's like, I don't get, like, okay, sure. And this one girl, the queen, because the queen's super into this mating season situation, the queen is like, you're the one, you're like number one, like everyone wants you. So like she publicly announces, like, I think her name's Phoebe Bridgerton, or I don't know, Bridgerton girl, like you're the number one this year, everyone's gonna want you. But then no one actually like asks her to marry or try to court her. So she's like, oh my god, this sucks. And then this guy who's like really gorgeous, so that's why everyone loves him. I mean, he's good, he's like a good actor, but he just recently hosted SNL, and it's like, he's a good actor and he's gorgeous, so like I think that's why everyone loves the show. Anyway, he's like, I'm never getting married, like but then something happens. I think they just like kind of become buds. This is all the first episode, by the way. I'm not spoiling the whole season. This is episode 1.
I feel like your description is more fun than the actual show.
It probably is, like, truly. And so they're like, hey, like, what if we pretend like we're gonna get married, or we're like courting, so that like none of the women try to go for you, and then all the guys will get like jelly and like go for me. And then like that plot point like kind of resolves itself by like episode 5. So I'm like, well, why the fuck am I watching this? Like, this is the main storyline, and we just resolved it.
Isn't this Shonda Rhimes?
It's Shonda. Well, they keep saying it's Shonda Rhimes, but she didn't create it. She doesn't write for it. She doesn't direct it. She produces it. She kind of just was like, hey.
So she wasn't the creator.
No, she's not the creator, and it's actually, I think, based off a book series. But no, she's not the creator. She just was like, hey, show, want to be in my Shondaland? Cool. And it's, yeah, it just, I don't see what, I guess, like, I guess in the episodes that I didn't watch, like, things become very sexual, like, they be banging, like, and
now that sounds like Shondaland.
yeah. And so I think people like that, because again, the cast is pretty, and the main guy is gorgeous, so like, cool. But like, yeah, there was only 2 characters that I liked, and I didn't see enough of them to be like invested, and they're like supporting characters, so it's like, well, I don't care. So yeah, I didn't see what everyone else saw. I don't get it. And it's not because like, period pieces are boring. Like, no, not at all. That's not my, like, I like a period piece. It was just like, what are we even doing here, guys? Like, I don't really get what's happening here. So I actually would not suggest Bridgerton. I think it's like way overhyped, and I think the Netflix algorithm fooled us into thinking it's the best show ever, and I couldn't finish the first season, so
good to know. Yeah, I heard people talking about it, but it was never like great things. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I think the like 0.1 seconds I watched it when it threw it on as a suggestion are going to be about as much as I watch of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I feel like just describing it was more entertaining than the actual show is going to be.
Yeah, and like, it just, I don't know, like, I get, like, again, like, there could have been something fun and interesting, but it just like I gave it a shot. Like, I tried.
No, it sounds like you did. You gave it like 5 episodes.
And then I was like, you know what? I don't like this. Like, I actually do not like this. I'm
I
done.
don't like this.
Because also it just felt like every episode felt like really long, even though they're 45 minutes to an hour. Because like they just move so slow, and then also like we're focusing on things that like don't matter, but we don't get a resolution. We don't get near resolution to certain things. But the main plot point, like we figured it out. So it's like I don't. Nah. Nah, just nah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, one show that I've been watching in the drama category is actually something I'm not going to go in too much because it actually was an episode of the podcast while Jess was gone. Episode 91, I watched season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. If we do lots of spoilers on that episode, so if you don't want to hear that until you maybe give it a shot, I'll just reiterate what I did during that episode, which is I think as a total non-Trekkie, I've seen like next to no Trek content besides the original Wrath of Khan. None of the TV shows. I think it's a great show to jump into, and it's a great show that is filled with diversity and LGBTQ representation done well without shoving it in your face. And like one thing I'll just say, just to summarize, like I said, this isn't a spoiler. Just by comparison, Star Wars was all proud of like, hey, we had our first Star Wars lesbian kiss, but it was two like non-name characters like in the background, like on a drive-by dolly shot.
Yeah.
So just by comparison, Star Trek Discovery has an interracial gay couple that they're both intelligent people, and none of their stories about coming out. They're just married couple in a loving relationship, and is really like the most loving relationship on the show. So like opposed to like, hey, look, we did this thing. Did you hear?
Right.
Star Trek's over here like, yeah, it's not a big deal. We just have a gay couple. We're also going to have like badass females, and it's not going to be shoved in your face. So if that all sounds good to you, plus action, plus, interesting stories and twists and turns, Star Trek season 1 of Discovery, it is on CBS All Access. But maybe try it for a month, give it some episodes. If you like it, keep watching. If not, you can always get rid of it. I do not support CBS that much, but someone else I know has it, so I was able to see it there.
Can I just like completely sidebar for a second? Disney properties love when they have gay moments, and they love to like
moments is the key word there.
And it's like, is that even a moment? Like, and they just like shove it, like they have like press releases about it. Like I remember when Beauty and the Beast, that live action movie, came out, they were like, this is gonna have Disney's first exclusively gay moment. That's what they called it, exclusively gay moment.
Woof.
And what it was like at the end, Gaston's buddy, who like clearly in this version like has a boner for Gaston, I think he just like hugs a guy or like starts dancing with the guy. Like it's just like looks like bros being bros. Like it's not gay. It's not gay. It's just two men interacting, and they were like, "You guys, we have solved gay rights. We did it." And then Marvel too, and they were like, "We have a gay." Oh my god.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh my god,
I lost my boyfriend in the snap." Like, okay. Yeah. So yeah, they love to do that. So yeah, it's cool to see like a big property, like you said, just be diverse and like not be like, look what we got, look like what we're doing it right. Like, yeah, it doesn't like that impresses me more when it's just like, it is what it is.
Also, I think I like broke it down, but like when I looked at like the entire like main cast and even like supporting cast, there's only like one straight white male character. The rest are either people of color or women or gay, whatever it is, or aliens, you know, because there's aliens. But it's just the fact that like they have all of this representation, but none of it is like, ha ha ha, look at us, we're totally woke. It's just there, and then they focus on the story. There's nothing problematic about it at all. So I just wanted to say again, without going completely deep into like details of it, just I really support the show. I'm really excited because I was told that like it gets better in season 2 and season 3, and like I really enjoyed season 1, so I'm like, oh, what the fuck's gonna happen?
That's cool. I've seen trailers for it, and there are people who I like that are in it, and I have heard like nothing but good things about it. But because I've never been a Trekkie or even close to it. I know very minimal stuff about Star Trek. I just never thought to watch it because I didn't think like I would get it or get into it. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear your take that like same for you, but you really enjoyed it. So is Patrick Stewart in it?
He is not.
Okay.
There's another show that they're doing on CBS All Access called Picard.
Oh, that's what.
Um,
Duh.
and
That's
like,
the one.
yeah. So like, apparently this show is like Trekkie. It does like consist on a timeline that it can be connected with other things. But as someone who doesn't know those other things, I'm not impeded by not knowing those things. It's more
Hmm.
like I watch the episode and then like I know a Trekkie or two, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, that's actually a callback to this show." It's like, cool, Easter egg for you, but like I just enjoyed that episode of television, you
Yeah.
know. So it's not something that you're going to be totally lost. It's just extra cool stuff for Trekkie nerds, but also a show that like I like to think is a gateway for me into like the Trek universe, because literally the only Star Trek thing I saw was Wrath of Khan with not James Spader. Why can't I think of his name? William Shatner. Uh,
James
so
Spader.
yeah, James Spader.
Whatever. They're one and the same. Just old crusty white men
They're
weirdos.
both in Boston Legal.
Oh,
So
oh, well, even yeah, of
maybe
course,
that's what
yeah.
I was weirdly thinking of. But yeah, so if you're interested in a gateway truck thing, that's one to get into. Um, but yeah, so Jess, what's other drama TV have you been getting into besides some awful Shondaland?
um, so I got actually really into a very good show that's also very diverse. Not in a way that shoves it in your throat. It's also very sexual diverse, like in that people's sexual identity is not like questioned or a thing, and that's Euphoria on HBO. So I know this is a very controversial show. A lot of people love it, absolutely love it, but they do deal with very, very intense things. And what's interesting about this show is that it's incredibly character driven and less kind of like plot driven, but
Mm-hmm.
the things that are going on with each character is is enough to really suck you into their story and want to make you like learn more about them and watch them grow and develop or make mistakes and screw up. And Zendaya, wow. I think she's fascinating, and this role is like, I mean, just so like kind of gritty in like in a way that it's not trying too hard. She's not, so she plays a young drug addict, and she just is like in her own place, in her own head, in her own mind. She's not trying to impress anyone. She's just this very like unique kind of character that's just how she is. And she's surrounded by other high schoolers that are also very unique to themselves. And it's really refreshing to see a high school show where it's not about trying to fit in or being bullied or whatever. It's like that's not the vibe of it. It's just like fucked up shit happens to people. One of the main characters is trans, and it's just how it is. It's accepted. There's no ever like, hey, let's kill this kid. Like, there's never any bullying. It's just like, yeah, whatever. Sup. Like, at one point, like, a jock kind of is accused by his girlfriend of maybe hooking up with men, and she's like, it's okay, babe, like, gender's fluid, like, I just need to like know. Like, so it's really interesting because like I said, it's like very sexually like open and just like, yeah, whatever, which is cool to see on TV because we don't really get that. We always get the like coming out moments, the bullying, the like love is love, like, so it's nice to just see like people being people and like liking whatever they like. It's interesting too though, because it is a show that takes place in high school. It's a show about high schoolers, but I do not think this show is actually made for high schoolers, because
I don't think so either. I've seen the pilot and
okay, yeah, it's definitely not for high schoolers. I think it's for like our generation, because it's just so hard to explain, because it's like, yes, these are teenagers, but they're dealing with like very adult themes that I don't think actual teenagers deal with, or do. And if they do, then shit, a lot's changed since I was in high school. But I just, not to get like too personal, but like I did have a kind of wild past, especially when I was a teenager. So I really relate to Zendaya's character as well, because it's represented in such just like an honest way of what it's like to just want to numb yourself. And so, yeah, I love it. I think it's so different. And also, like, all the teenagers, like in most teen shows, are like in their 20s. They're not actual teenagers. So that makes me feel like a little bit better when we're dealing with like these really crazy things, that it's like, okay, well, we're not having a 16-year-old actually act this out. Like, these are 20-year-olds. That, and I think just the idea to have them in high school is just like almost more stylized than it is for like plot, because we're not like seeing them like, I gotta go study, I'm gonna be late for homeroom. It's just like a place to connect all these characters, which I find really interesting. But yeah, so there's only been one season. They got shut down during their second season because of COVID, and they've just started to film it, I believe. So I think it's like 10 episodes, and yeah, each one is just really fascinating and unique and really special. So I am shocked by how much I just fell in love and was really into it.
Nice. Yeah. I did see the pilot and maybe the second episode as well. And it is certainly one that I've wanted to dive back into. But I did take a break from HBO for a little bit just because I had too many services going at the same time. And when I do get HBO back, that was on my list, because I thought it was very, like you said, an interesting way to show people that age, but in that way. Because like usually when it's a teenage thing, it's either like a romp, like in a sense that it's like a sex comedy and it's just dudes trying to get laid, and like, or like, oh, they're just trying to get high and like smoke weed for the first time or whatever the thing is. It's like very like fixated on one thing, where this felt very like, I hate using the word gritty because I feel like it's gotten so desensitized with like describing media, but you know what I'm saying because you've seen it. Like it feels more real, and I definitely, even though I may not relate to some of the characters, I have met people with like pasts like this. So it was like, okay, it feels like this is a different take on this age range without it, you know, being just another thing that we've seen a million times.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's also very character driven. So like each episode kind of focuses on Rue, who's played by Zendaya, kind of telling us about these characters. That's a lot of the first season, and then we see like what's going on with them. And I found that a really fascinating way to connect all these people. But you're not like, even though each character kind of gets their own episode, like other things are also happening. And it's also incredibly stylized, like the coloring, the cinematography, the costuming, the makeup. It's all just so fun and different. So yeah, I mean, if you can deal with some like really heavy and controversial things, like get into it. This show is not for like the faint of heart though. Like it is intense. So, you know, if you're not into that kind of stuff, that's okay too. You just have to, you got to be ready to watch a very particular kind of intensity with it. So I would recommend it if you're into if you just want to check it out, if you're just curious about it. I'm really glad I finally did, because I think it's just a fascinating show.
For sure. So I have been diving back into another HBO show. So if you're on HBO, you know, you're watching Euphoria, watching Search Party. One thing, if you haven't checked out yet, Newsroom. We've talked about it on here. Jess and I are both big Aaron Sorkin fans. I've seen this show only once through, and I haven't seen it since that first time, which I think must have been 5 years ago or something by now. It was like not long after the show left, and it's only 3 seasons, but like the seasons, some of them, it starts getting kind of like short. Season 3 is very short. It's like 6 episodes or something. So it's, I think, grand total like 30 episodes or less. Like it's very, very short, but man, when it's good, like it is good. And but I will say, I don't think it's quite a binging show, at least too much in like one sitting, because like I found myself, when you watch too much Sorkin consecutively in like one sitting, it's just like, all right, well, I feel stupid now, you know.
Right, my brain is
because
melting.
because every character talks very fast, very intelligently. They
Mm-hmm.
do monologues, which like I love both as a writer and a viewer. But when if you're someone who wants to binge something, I say give like an episode, maybe two, and then like take a break, because it could just be a lot to take in with nonstop Sorkin.
And I agree with you too. Like it should be watched like a slow burn more than a binge, because also each episode is, you know, they're dealing with a lot. So it's nice to just kind of watch it and just like sit with it, as opposed to just like on to the next one. Because yeah, they deal with a lot of things that were happening back in the day, and yeah, each episode a lot can go on, so it's nice to just like watch it and then like reflect on that before you just binge everything. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because they are covering things that happened.
mm-hmm.
It's like Sorkin's version of kind of covering some of those things. And um I think the thing he said he struggled with this show was like striking that balance of like, well, I don't want to make up stories, but like I want real things, but then I don't want to make it sound like I'm preaching about how like news should have handled this. So like that's why he struggled with this show, is like finding what made sense to it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially if you like that kind of stuff. If you like, Jess kept recommending Secession to me, which I did for homework, and then ended up watching both seasons of that. So if you like that, you'll like Newsroom, you
Oh
know.
yeah, absolutely.
That's how Jess would pitch Secession to me. She's like, you like Sorkin, you'll like, you know, this.
Yeah, it's the most Sorkin, non-Sorkin thing I've ever seen.
For sure. Well, are there any other drama shows you've been watching you wanted to talk about?
So there's one, and I'll be brief with it, because this has been a part of award season, and it was nominated. The Golden Globes were last night, and it was nominated for a bunch of things, and that's the miniseries The Undoing. Um, I, I would call it like Big Little Undoing Award for Nicole Kidman, because it's like literally she's I mean, she's Nicole Kidman. She's wonderful. I'm not like bashing Nicole Kidman. I'm not dumb. But it's like her character is essentially what she was doing in Big Little Lies, minus like, well, I won't spoil, but very, very similar vibe and character. Her husband is played by Hugh Grant, and he's accused of murdering a woman that is connected to the school that their son goes to.
Okay.
That's not a spoiler. That's the like first 20 minutes. I think it's only 6 episodes, I believe. And I I watched all of it. I wanted to like it. But the ending was so...
I wanted to like it.
I wanted to like it, but the ending was like so like really like fucking really, like it was...
You wanted to undo the ending.
I wanted to undo the ending, yeah.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah, the undoing should have undone itself, like truly, because the ending is so stupid and so bad that then you start thinking back and you're like, so but that, like, so this was all dumb. Like, it was just, this was all for nothing. This is stupid. Like, it's, so I like don't understand like why it's up for the, like, it was up for Globes, he was up, she was up, the show was like up for best miniseries. The only thing I can think of is the Apple TV money buying those nominations, like how Netflix basically bought the whole Golden Globe last night, allegedly. Because it's not good, it's not quality. So
I didn't know it was an Apple TV thing. That's right.
It is. And so I had like, I got a new iPhone within the last years, so I got like a free subscription. I'm not paying for Apple TV. let me get that straight. Like, no.
Almost like you were being accused. It's like, yeah. I just want on record that I'm not paying for Apple TV.
And it's up, it comes up, it's done in June, and I'm done. Like, I'm not paying for it.
I marked the day in my phone to make sure to unsubscribe. They're not gonna trick me, Apple.
No. You already did, and you undid it. No,
not your content.
No, yeah. So no, like, because I feel like with a lot of things that are up for awards, people are like, oh wow, I should check that out. It must be good. This is not one of those things. Don't check it out. It's not good. It's a big waste of 6 hours of your life. So don't do it. I'm just letting you know, it's not worth it.
Good to know.
I had to talk about it finally, because no one else watched it too. Like, literally no one else, I feel like, but me watched it. So, and I guess I don't even think the Golden Globe voters watched it, you know? So like, I had to rant about it somewhere.
So we've talked about comedies, talk about dramas. We can now move on into some other categories. One I want to talk about is a reality show that I've really been into. This is a show that I've been told a lot about. I had a friend who used to be really into it. I finally gave it a chance. It's a show called Alone. Have you heard of this show?
I have heard a lot about this show. I've not watched it, but I've heard people be like, yo, Alone is it.
So here's the thing. When I describe it, some people are going to be like, isn't this just like Survivor? Like, hang on. So the gimmick of the show, it's a show on History Channel. Basically, they take 10 people. First couple seasons, they go to Vancouver Island, this spot that it's like really shitty weather, and they're just out in the middle of nowhere. And each person is alone. And by alone, I mean literally, like, they have to film themselves doing everything. And it's just longest person to stay out there without giving up gets $500,000.
Wow.
So you have to, make shelter. You have to like hunt or fish. You have to figure out your food. You got to stay warm because it becomes winter. It's just who can last longest without giving up. And like, just an example, like the first season, like they're out there like a couple months, so it's like just, and also the thing is, they don't know how many people are left.
Oh
Like,
my
so
God.
you're just trying to last. And because like they tell them that like, yeah, you could be up there upwards of a year, you know. The show just tells them that like you don't know, like
Yeah,
some people, one guy literally like didn't last the first day because like he saw a
that'd
bear,
be
he's like, oh
me.
hell
Yeah,
no, you know.
that would be me. Nah, I regret this. Sorry, bye.
Yeah, and so it's crazy. And as someone like I wasn't really into camping and much stuff growing up, but like I found
Yeah.
it fascinating, um like the stuff that they figure out how to do, whether it's like laying traps or like what they use with their resources to fish. Also the show gets really like deep because the psychological effects of two things: one, being alone, literally like all they have is talking to this camera, almost like it's their Wilson for Castaway, you know.
Yeah.
And also starvation, you know. They start getting real trouble. And I remember like the one guy just like talking to the camera, he's like, I just find myself getting so angry so quickly over nothing. And like they'll throw out little facts. They're like, yeah, part of one of the symptoms of starvation is aggravation, depression, and you know, mood swings. And you know, so like the show will tell you little facts like, oh, this mouse that they're about to eat is going to be 40 calories, you know.
Whoa,
So
that's
it's,
cool.
yeah. I've watched 3 seasons. I'm totally into it. And the crazy thing is every season people start learning what the previous people did and they last longer and longer. And so it's nuts. Cause you think you'll be able to pick up like, oh, this person's gonna make it, this person sucks, and you are totally wrong. Like, just don't think you'll be able to guess it, because we totally thought that the person who like was gonna win the first season, like they were like the third person out or something, and then like someone we thought was gonna be out right away ended up lasting. You know, it's it's nuts.
Interesting.
And they'll
It's
build stuff, like they'll build a boat, you know, like because they have all this time. It's
wow.
nuts. It's on Hulu. There's
Okay.
still like, I think there's like 6 seasons right now. I don't know if it's the show's still running, but man, we loved it. And what's so funny is my mom isn't like a traditional like binger. They love still watching cable, you know, like, oh,
Hmm.
when is that on, you know. um DVRing stuff, they still DVR stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because we switched our phone plan, they have Hulu now. And my parents visited me and my girlfriend. We showed them this. And then my mom got into it. And like a day or so later, my dad's like, you got your mother hooked on that show. She was up till 4 the other night finishing the first
Oh
season,
my
you know?
God. That's funny.
So Mama Prosek got addicted to it and like got her to binge, I think, her first show, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like, I think to me the most fascinating part, and there's a lot you described that's fascinating, is the idea that like you don't know how long someone else has lasted. So
Yeah.
it's not like Survivor in that where there's a very clear timeline that like you're voting people out,
And
you're
there's a
done by
camera
this
crew, there's a
time.
host, there's
There's a whole
games and
host.
like challenges.
Right, there's people to talk to and to like help you out. Like, but this is like good luck. Like,
Yeah.
see how long you can last. And yes, and if you want that money, if you want to win, like you just got to be there for fucking ever.
You just got to be there. And like I said, also some
Wow.
of these people are just so like the one guy, the one season is an incredible like craftsman, and like he'll just make all these things. And like the one day he's just like, yeah, today I made a rake, so I'm gonna clean up my shelter out here. And like
Aw.
and like the personalities start coming out like as the season goes on, and just, yeah. And it makes you think like what would get at you if you tried to do this. Like for me, like I think the food thing would definitely be an issue, like because like I'm not good at fishing, but now it makes me want to learn how to like fish better, or like, you know, cook up a fish maybe, because like, you know, what if the apocalypse happens?
Yeah, I mean, we're not far off.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
all these people are going to be the ones that are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
we're over here like trying to unsubscribe from Apple Plus.
Right. Not trying. I did. I'm there. I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, no, I would not. I would be so bad at that show. Oh my God. I think all of it would just destroy me. Like, I don't know where to even begin with that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yikes. That sounds fascinating though. And I like too that you can like learn things from it. That's really neat. I
Yeah,
know.
all the facts they throw out are very interesting, and the stuff that they do, it just for I think also part of it is the isolation that we're all in right now, where we have like small bubbles of people that we can talk to.
Mm-hmm.
um I think a lot of people have taken up things like bread making, or just generally more cooking or crafts. I've known people who've gotten into like knitting and like making things, and just it's interesting to me the stuff that they do, whether it's like trapping stuff or crafting or things that you come up with that's not on a screen. Because like my life is on a screen. I work on a screen for work. I love TV and movies. I write, I podcast on a screen. Like I'm just surrounded by them all the time. And so for that, it's like really made me, when this next summer is coming around, like because I'm not going to be able to still be around people probably for a while, like just learning crafts like that, just I don't know, it felt like it also just awakened that kind of like sense of adventure in me.
Mm-hmm. It sounds really fascinating. I definitely am interested in checking it out.
Yeah, so it's on Hulu, check it out. And yeah, it just also, the thing is, the first is it just throws you right in. It's just like 10 people, Vancouver Island, here they are, boom boom boom, you know, they're alone, and you're like, oh fuck, like we're in it, you know. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. I'm curious what you think if you do check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. I am very curious, and I have heard from other people that it's really wonderful. So, yeah, maybe I gotta add it to the list.
For sure. Have you been watching any reality TV?
Oh boy, have I. uh, so I'll just
90 Day
like
Fiance.
no, I can't. There's too much. That like there's like spin-offs after spin-offs after spin-offs. I don't understand what's happening there. I cannot. Like
Yeah.
that's no. Um but I in the last only like couple months I have gotten really really into the Real Housewives franchise, which I never thought like
The
would happen.
franchise.
The franchise. The extended universe of the Real Housewives. Yeah.
uh,
Some I don't. Like Beverly Hills, fuck that. Boring as hell. Dallas, pretty boring as well. But some of them are like, oh, I'm captivated. I'm captivated. Like Real Housewives of New York is just fun. Real Housewives of Potomac is like that girl who's bringing the drama. Like it's
of
intense.
Potomac?
Potomac, Maryland. It's like a high. It's like a rich ass area by DC.
Oh
Um,
boy.
that's the one I've been into right now. I've been binging. It's so intense. But the funniest one of them all is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and just it's bonkers. Like bonkers. Like I cannot describe. I laugh so hard at Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because it's these like Mormon women ish. There's some are Mormon, some are not. But Mormons are very strict with like what they can and cannot do. And the Real Housewives franchise is all about like watching women go crazy. So it's like this weird sort of like dichotomy of like women being like, I'm a great practicing Mormon, but I have a tequila brand. It's like what? Like it's wild. So if you love just like just guilty pleasure, trashy, stupid, wild reality TV, get into those three because they are gonna entertain. I promise. Especially Salt Lake City. If you're not into Real Housewives at all, just watch Real House of Salt Lake City because like, oh my god, it is. There's just the drama is so fun. I laugh so much. So there's that. That's been happening. a highbrow reality TV show I've been watching is Blown Away on Netflix. Have you heard of Blown Away?
I have not actually.
It's really good. I'm glad that the second season just came on because I watched the first season like a year ago, but it wasn't like huge, so I wasn't sure if they were going to bring it back. It is so good. So Blown Away is a glass blowing competition show. So it's an art. No, it's like a really great art form.
No,
It's
I'm sure it
intense.
is. I had no idea what this show was going to be about. It was just
Blown
not what I was
away.
expecting.
Blown away. But like it's yeah, the title's pretty intense, but it makes sense because you're glass blowing.
Oh yeah.
And you're blown away by their pieces. Truly, their pieces are insane.
Mind
It's just really
blown.
cool. Mind blown away. It's so cool. Each episode's about like 20 to 30 minutes, so it's very short. Um, and it's just like so incredible to watch what these artists can do in like 4 hours. They can make these like insanely detailed, gorgeous glass structures. It's so good. And it's just like the aesthetic of it is really nice too. Like it's really beautiful cinematography, especially for a competition show. And the artists all have very cool personalities. They're very different, and these are some of like the top of the line glass blowers, so like what they're bringing you is intense. And there's levels of intensity to it too, because they're working with like very fragile pieces. Shit can break and you got like an hour until you got to turn your stuff in. So
You're making me think of those shows where they have to like bake the cake and then they got to move it and the cake can like tip over.
it's kind of got that vibe, but way more intense and like way more like special. Like, whoa, this is an art form
Yeah,
that does
anyone can
not
bake
get
a
enough
fucking cake. Not
credit.
everyone can blow glass.
No, absolutely not. Like, I'm so clumsy. There's no way. But it's just so fascinating and like cool. And it's very relaxing too, because like it's even though it's a competition show, like everyone's really nice to each other and they're just like, wow, you're doing a great job. It's beautiful. Or like, oh my God, I look up to them so much. Like it's nice. It's just like nice reality TV. And it's just nice to kind of like relax and throw on an episode and be like, oh my God, art is wild, and just like feel good about it. Feel good about like what people can do when they're creative. So yes, Blown Away. I suggest that like literally anyone should watch it, and everyone should watch it because it's so cool and it's just so fun.
Nice. Well, now I'm interested. I like being some good competition shows. So that was like the main reality show that I watched, but since this isn't quite reality TV, it's more of like a docu-series that I really got into. I really wanted to mention was it was actually on YouTube. It's on this YouTube channel called Defunct Land. They do this great series about Jim Henson.
Mm.
Um, and it's like I think 6 episodes, and they're anywhere from like 20 to 40 minutes. So like it's a good series where they pretty much go through like his entire like life and career. And yes, Jim Henson from the Muppets. I just am utterly fascinated by the stuff that this guy did. You know, I think a lot of people like, yeah, he did the Muppets. It's like, so like, okay, there's a lot more into it though. Like he um started this stuff in like the 50s, 60s, you know, like he kind of pioneered like a lot of things in puppet making and puppetry. He would be one of the writers, he would be a director, he'd be a producer. He didn't just do the voice for the puppets, but like the people doing the voices are also the puppeteers, like with their hands and, you know, doing that performance as well. And so he helped create all these characters with the Muppets. He helped create Sesame Street. He was like the producer, not quite like always like creative control, but like Fraggle Rock was another like classic. Obviously he did like some movies that weren't always enjoyed, like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. But
Labyrinth slaps.
yeah, I
That's
enjoy
like it.
um but he just was this guy who also was so inspiring to everyone around him. So like one thing that I found very touching, and I won't go too much into it, is one of the like kind of puppeteers who was always like a background puppet and never like a main guy was the original guy who voiced Gonzo. And he was very nervous about how he was as a performer, so he mainly wanted to help, I think, make the Muppets and be like background movement but not really a leading character. And Jim was like, no, like you just gotta be goofy, you gotta, you know, just let it out, like we all do weird things, and like just go grab one of the Muppets, like go grab one of the characters that like we've used in like the background of one of our old Christmas specials. And they found Gonzo, and he's like, just have fun with this one. And then he started doing the voice, and now that guy has been a vocal performer for numerous characters for decades now. And so like he was just inspiring to everyone and was constantly pushing technology forward. I mean, the fact that like if you look at the original Muppet movie, how they have Kermit like riding a bike and like the Muppets like driving and like like they like that wasn't done with puppets before. So like he'd have these ideas and people are like, this isn't like done, Jim. And he's like, oh yeah, well we'll figure it out, you know. And and everyone's like, yeah, I guess we will, because Jim's just great, you know. And just like a guy that was gone way too soon. He died, I think he was only in his 50s or something like that, very suddenly. And just all the people he inspired. One thing I love that this documentary shows is like his his funeral, like memorial service, was like I think 2 different crowds of like 5,000 people.
Wow.
And like he had a rule, like, I don't want anyone to wear black, and I want people to like sing and be happy. And so like they all like sang songs, some of his favorite songs, and like all these people were there. And it just seems like a guy who was always optimistic and like pushed forward. And like he was told no so many times in his career. No one wanted the Muppets to have a show beyond like Sesame Street. Like no one wanted the original The Muppet Show. He got no's like everywhere. No one wanted Dark Crystal. No one wanted this. No one wanted that. And he just kept pushing and being undeniable. And I just think it's so inspiring. And I think it's like creative minds like that that don't come along very often, that do all of these things: singing, writing, you know, puppetry performing, producing, inspiring others to be better versions of themselves. Like I just like it numerous times like brought me to like tears watching it, because I'm like, man, this guy just touched so many people. And he's also been gone for like now almost 30 years, and he's still like touching people, and Sesame Street is still a staple, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, like not only did he touch people like close to him, but like the lessons from Sesame Street and the Muppets, I mean, they were very, you know, children watched those informative years and like truly would learn things. And Sesame Street can handle some like actually like really heavy topics, and do so in a way like almost like Mr. Rogers, where it's like easy for a child to digest it and like learn. So yeah, I mean, his legacy can never be understated. And so that series sounds very special and very sweet.
Yeah, it's like I've never seen something that's so like definitive, like literally follows like his entire like timeline career. And just where he started, where it was just like a 4-minute little puppet thing, like to, I think, transition from one show to like a late night show, like just in Washington, just in the Washington area. And then he got canceled like 2 or 3 times, but then callers would call the station and say like, no, we love this, bring it back.
Aww.
And it's just like, they kept canceling it, and then people would complain, and then it had to be brought back. Like, he was just undeniable.
Aw.
So
Aw.
very, very touching story, very inspiring. It's on YouTube, so it's free. Defunct Land, you know, Jim Henson. I'm sure if you type in Jim Henson documentary, you'll find the playlist. It's so good, and you know, very, very moving.
It sounds like it. It sounds really sweet and special and inspirational too.
For sure. Were there any docu-series that you've dove into?
Yeah, I watched The Ripper on Netflix, which is a true crime docu-series. It's only 4 episodes, and it's about the Ripper in Yorkshire, England, and basically how this serial killer was targeting women, and just how poorly like the police handled it, and kind of like blamed the women. And
Ugh.
at a certain point, women had a curfew at night, whereas men didn't, even though a man was murdering women.
Yeah, why not just people have a curfew? Because there's murders
Right.
happening.
So, and then these women like stood up and were like, hey, fuck you. Like, this is not our fault. And yeah, it's just a really fascinating look at like not only how like police like literally did not care, because for a while he was just murdering sex workers, and so they were like, well, sex, whatever. And
Wow.
then it grew and grew into be this bigger thing, and the police just were so like messy and sloppy, and essentially were like, sorry ladies, figure it out. And how these women stood up and like dealt with this. So it's a true crime, but it's a really fascinating story, one that I didn't know much about because it takes place in England. And the Night Stalker one, I wouldn't really suggest. I think it kind of glorifies him. I don't think it gave enough time for like the victims. And it glorified the cops too, who actually like they just got lucky they caught him. So I wouldn't suggest Night Stalker. That was a big one on Netflix, but The Ripper on Netflix I would definitely suggest, because it's just a really powerful true crime story. Yeah, so I like a good murder story. So
I was waiting for it. I was like, I don't just like some
I
some
like
murder.
some murder and Real Housewives. That's my jam.
Yeah, I mean, we're waiting for Love is Blind season 2, you know?
Yeah, oh right. Oh my god.
Which, like, talk about a show that could be socially distant.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, like,
Yeah.
I still want season 2 to feature some uggos, some
Just normies. We
normies.
don't even need uggos, just normies.
You know, and I just want people of all shapes, sizes,
Mm-hmm.
backgrounds, you know, and not just like, we're either 9s or 10s, you know.
Right.
Will we love each other? It's like, probably, I guess. But anyway, that has been what we've been watching for TV shows. We are going to be doing another episode about what we've been watching movies wise on the next episode. But yeah, Jess, where can they catch you on the social medias?
On Twitter and Instagram, I am at Jessquaz, JESSKWAZZ. That's where you can find me.
I am at Brandon Prosek, Prosek, on Twitter and Instagram. And Entertainment Buffet, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Check out YouTube. We have tons of content, including other podcasts that we're partners with that are available on there as well. The podcast now is available. If you have different places you listen to podcasts, we're available on Apple, Spotify, but now we are hosted on Anchor. So if you want to check us out on Anchor, if that's someplace that you listen to podcasts, we're there as well. But yeah, so much we've been watching, Jess, so many things that I need to add to my list.
Yeah. I've already been watching so much, and now I guess I need to watch more. So
right.
it never ends.
For sure. But yeah, stay tuned. Like I said, next episode we're going to be chatting about movies we've been watching on the next episode of the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.